Okay. Hi, Kymone.
Hello, Amber Robles-Gordon.
Amber Robles-Gordon.
See, you could have helped me with my Spanish. I could have been speaking Spanish by now.
Uh-huh.
Dead, I'm poquito.
Welcome to Art, Life, and Social Practice.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for agreeing to say, be on the
Are
show.
we live streaming somewhere, or are you recording this? Just
Oh,
recording?
hell no. No, just recording. No,
Just
I'm not ready for live streaming.
This is what's crazy, man. What's going on? You are one of the people who I think their work is as beautiful as they are. Yeah.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
But that's also why I can't stand you. It's just, my taste in women exceeds your taste in men. So my work obviously is more beautiful than me. Because if my work was if I was as beautiful as my work, I wouldn't be speaking poquito.
You are as beautiful as your work. Come on. I like your green wall.
Oh, thank you. It's actually red, black, and green. You can't see the red because it's all the way.
Oh, okay.
Like the center of my loft that's like the wraparounds, the kitchen and the bathroom walls. The exterior walls are white, but the interiors are colors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't have nothing but white. That'd be crazy.
I hear that.
So how's it going? You making money now? You look at you.
So wait a minute. I'm doing the interview. You're answering the questions.
I'm just saying. I'm supposed to check in. You doing okay? You making money now? Hold
on. I'm doing the interview. When you interview me, finally bring me over to finally make me coming over to, what is it? React Radio or the online version. Then I'm gonna answer your questions. Come on. What does your name mean?
It means chief ruler somewhere in West Africa. Doesn't mean shit in DC yet, but I'm working on it.
That is not true. Your name absolutely means something. Where'd you grow up?
Southeast, but I came of age uptown. Yeah, so I lived in every part of the city except for Southwest. And I spent some key years of my childhood in North Carolina against my will. I like to say I did time in North Kakalaki.
Against your will?
Yeah, my grandmother died and I had to...
When did she die?
83.
And how old were you?
I was, no, excuse me, 84. She died at 84, I was 13.
That's when my brother was born, 84.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, wow. Okay. So you've lived here all your life in Washington, D.C.?
Yes, I'm one of the indigenous natives, yes.
And your family's from here as well?
Yeah, my grandparents moved to D.C. in the 50s.
Wow.
So all of my aunts and uncles and my mom were born here. But my father was born in North Carolina. My grandparents, both sets of my grandparents also in North Carolina. So all of my roots come from North Carolina. It's kind of strange because like DC people are mostly from North Carolina. New York people are mostly from Georgia and South Carolina. Chicago people are mostly from Mississippi and Alabama, and Texas and Los Angeles is like Texas and Louisiana. Like was those the train routes or something? I'm like, was that? Because it's really serious. Like it's just crazy how much our culture has been altered by the American apartheid system. I mean, the fact that you and I sitting here speaking English, and you speaking Spanish is a result of our unique history. But I think that you and I represent part of this Afrofuturism where we get to decide where we go from here and what the world will look like going forward. And we kind of like have that in common in terms of trying to represent that in a non-commodified, commercialized version of it. Yeah, so it took me a while to like interpret your work, but I was always inspired by your your colors. Like whenever I saw something you did, it was always shockingly bright, you know. And I don't know if you noticed, but I've been dressing a lot brighter in the past few years, and it's because of my travels, and it's also because of your work that kind of exudes going beyond your comfort zone. And so many people in my family, I can't speak for yours, of course, but for my family, we have been conditioned to not go too far. Like when I was
When
going
it comes,
to
meaning when it comes
you
to,
know, to across the board, whether it's traveling, whether it's occupation, to try to tell my parents I want to be a writer. It's what? I'm spending the summer in Africa. Why are you going to Africa? They're like, that type of, like, because we're African.
So when did you go to Africa? When did you spend the summer in Africa?
2004. I spent the summer, and I met a woman almost as beautiful as you from Rwanda. It was the best summer of my life. And but I was there for American Friends Service Committee leadership conference, and it was a very altering experience. I was condensed information 8 hours a day, 5 times a week for 6 weeks. They was jamming all of this revolutionary information in my head, like how the IMF and the World Bank was formulated, and how, because they was created after World War II, by the way, and the fall of a lot of the colonial powers. So they had to recalibrate their game plan, and they created a structure, economic structure, where they didn't have to be there physically present. They can just colonize the economy, And if you look back at any and all of the fall of the colonial powers in Africa, you will see the colonial powers on stage handing power over to the indigenous people. And I'm like, that, what kind of revolutionary is that? You know what I'm saying? You ain't see the British and the Americans on the stage handing over no power. You know what I'm saying? Because but anyway, that was what turned me into a writer, because one of the things that I learned was that a pen is a poor man's weapon. So, Jeff Bezos has a pen, I got a pen,
Wait a minute, are you saying that you didn't you weren't a writer before 2004?
I was not a writer until 24. I was a poet. I was already doing poetry. Yeah, I was doing spoken word, but I wouldn't say that I was a writer, because I was performing spoken word. So yeah, I was get on the open mic and spit, and I look back and I feel like that was kind of like therapy, reaching for my voice, getting this off my chest, so to speak, and also declaring to the world, like, this is who I am. I'm an artist. Like, that was like my first foray to saying that I'm an artist. So the poetry was the first introduction to that. But in terms of a writer, yeah, that means written word, here's that, and boom, yeah. It was 04.
So you were already, prior to that, you were writing and performing poetry.
Yeah, the first time I got paid for my art was as a poet. I got paid quite a few times to read poetry. The Angry Black Man in Therapy thing was in vogue. So
It's in vogue. Wow. I didn't realize that you weren't writing in that way prior to that. Okay, so what was the first thing that you wrote that moved you to the point where you knew this was something that you had to continue to do?
Well, again, having that epiphany in Nairobi was that I'm a storyteller. I have to tell these stories. And the first thing I wrote was prison poetry. That was the bridge, obviously. So I wrote something and it had 2 poems in it. So it was me weaning myself into the literary space. And unfortunately for me, it was successful. I won a literary award. I sold out the Lincoln Theater. Sold 2,000 DVDs. I headlined a hip hop theater festival. All this happened on that first run. And had I not been successful on that first run, I shudder to the thought of where I would be, because I would have gave up. I really seriously would have given up. I might have, threw in the chips, moved to North Carolina, because I own a house in North Carolina, and my mother gave me a house. So, and she won't let me sell it and take the money. But she's like, if you wanted to live, and I'm like, and because in her mind, she's like, why are you in DC struggling? You could be in North Carolina, have your own house, and you could. I'm like, what I'm gonna do in a house in North Carolina? Like, what am I gonna do? Where am I gonna go? Are you serious? Like, man, I can't even get no good weed in this joint. Y'all want to talk about moving to North Carolina? That's crazy. But I probably would have done that and given up. And I'm so thankful for this little Jewish lady who I met her. And mind you, I got the literary award on my birthday. It was May 13th, 2005. Okay. Now, I was 35 years old, and I feel like I wasted like 15 years of my life, like all of my adult life. So it was 17 years of my life. I feel like I wasted 17 years of my life because for that entire time period, I did not believe in myself. Now, the poetry was kind of like my effort to start weaning myself off of that, but I still would not have believed that, I was worthy of a book, that I was worthy, because like all of my friends was poets. Like it wasn't like no big thing to be a poet to me, because it was like during a time period where you would show up at an open mic and everybody in the building name is on the list. So everybody here is performing. Okay. So it's not like you really are audience. It's really like a workshop. We was like, I'm gonna spit, you spit, and you spit, and you spit, and we kind of like, and so that's what that was. It was kind of like a workshop where we was kind of like finding our voices and sharpening each other and being inspired by each other. So it was a different kind of space. It wasn't like the Love Jones where this handful of people get up there and the whole audience is here to see these handful of people. Nah, they're like everybody here was spitting. So I didn't have. And looking back, I think it was a great training ground. Kind of like been referring to like the U Street alumni, because so many people came out of U Street in the 90s and early 2000s who are, gone on to do big things. We got, Camilla Forbes runs the Apollo Theater. Raheem DeVaughn is Grammy nominated. Jill Scott came through there. Inyari came through there. So many folks and countless other people have come through there. So, but because this little Jewish lady gave me the validation that unfortunately I needed, which was that she voted for me for this literary award. It's the Larry Neal Award, DC Commission Oscar Man. It's the highest literary award the city gives out. And I only got 3rd place, okay? Third, and I think, and if I'm not mistaken, I was a tie for 3rd place. Like they didn't even want to give a nigga 3rd place. I had a tie with her. And so she comes up to me on doing the program, and she says, I want you to know that I voted for you for 2nd place. Yeah. And I was like, wow, okay, thank you. And she was like, they wanted me to change my vote. They wanted to, and I just wouldn't budge. I just wouldn't budge. There was something about your piece. It just spoke to me. I just couldn't let it go. She's like, I fought for this piece, you know what I'm saying? And I had to settle for a tie for 3rd place. I'm so sorry you didn't get, da, 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 da. And I was like, wow, because they didn't, they kind of frown upon political content. They kind of, as gatekeepers in place, because they want something smooth and nice and fuzzy. Now, mind you, I said I came in third place, and it was a tie for that, okay, in 2005. Now, whoever was first place, second place, and the other for third, I can guarantee you they didn't produce their work. It didn't sell out Lincoln Theater. They didn't sell 2,000 DVDs. You see what I'm saying? So, man, like, so yeah. And I think we need to change our thinking, because I remember when people was telling me when I was producing the play that you never produced a play before. You can't do the second biggest theater in the city. You should do a small black box thing. I'm like, nah, fuck that. It's the world premiere. You know what I'm saying? And I sold it out. And people looked at me like, oh, they were saying, oh, just $25 a ticket. That's too expensive. I'm like, bruh, that's the number. Huh?
I actually went to that, right?
So you went? I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I did.
You see me on stage with my eyeballs sweating? That's what I call all that. That's what I called it, because I don't cry. My eyeballs are sweating.
Okay, so I want to know what.
That's the night that that everything changed. So you was there the night everything changed in my life.
I don't know. I was whether, because you had there was a couple performances. It wasn't just one, right?
No, that was the only performance at Lincoln Theater. But then, Prison Poetry was performed at the Studio Theater.
Okay. Well, then, I was at the Lincoln Theater.
Yeah, headline Hip Hop Theater Festival, and did a couple other shows. Yeah.
Come on. Okay, so what made you an advocate? What made you this political person? What string of constructs about your life created this for you?
Again, I mean, I was already, I was already an angry Black man before the trip to Kenya. It's just that I was pretty much a rebel without a cause up to that moment.
So that it gave you tools.
They gave me tools, yeah. But I had already started the foray. I mean, I started the Black Love Festival in '97, so I had an idea. Putting it in context, I was one of those kids who were conditioned to believe that we're supposed to be shot or dead by 25. Like, okay, I came up when DC was like murder capital, and a lot of my friends were, going to prison, getting shot and getting killed, and having the experience of going to funerals, like 4 or 5 funerals a year of people that will eventually destigmatize you. So the Million Man March, October 16, 1985, changed my purview, because so me and my hooligan friends was out there, and we was fucking with the police, because we knew there was too many niggas out here for the police to do anything. So we was out there smoking weed. Out in the Capitol, on Pennsylvania Avenue, out in the open, smoking weed, blowing weed, and smoking police face. Like, what you gonna do today? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? And this is when weed was still criminal. Because we knew like they wasn't gonna do nothing, right? So we drinking liquor, smoking weed, and the police obviously didn't do anything. And this elder comes up to us and he says, "Brothers, we not niggas today. Just for today, we not niggas." And that thought had never entered my mind that, like, I'm not a nigga. Like, I had like, I'm saying, nigga, my niggas. And then like the thought, like, I'm not a nigga. Wow, that was revolutionary for me. I'm not a nigga. And so we got into the spirit of the day at that point. We put the weed out. I mean, we ain't pour the liquor out. we just put it away. But we stopped drinking, we stopped smoking, we stopped fucking with the police. And, we start getting into and I hugged more men that day than I hugged in my entire life before or since. And that was therapeutic because, I'm I'm a real serious dude. So it's like hugging niggas is like, what? You know what I'm saying? So every 10 feet, you'll be hugging somebody, So that kind of like broke down a barrier, because we was always on guard. Like it's kind of crazy how white supremacy work. A bunch of black men see some black men they don't know, they on guard. They see some white boys and they relaxed. And like, that's some crazy, but we saw that change in 2020, thank goodness. But anyway, so that's when it started in terms of thinking different. And then of course, that was 95. A couple of weeks later, I witnessed my cousin get murdered. He was stabbed. I didn't see him get stabbed, but I saw him bleed to death, like on TV, like, all on you, dying in your arms. I had a beautiful white silk shirt, and he turned to pink, and he died in my arms, and the party was over. It wasn't fun no more. Then Biggie gets shot and Tupac gets shot. So then I lost all of my taste for like violence in music, the glorification of ignorance. Like I lost all of that. And that's when I said, okay, I gotta do something different.
How old were you then? When that happened?
20, 25, 26, when all that happened. And all that happened like within like 18 months. Like people forget. See, Tupac got shot in September. Biggie got shot in March. That's like what, 6 months, 7 months apart? That's not a big, and then
No, it wasn't. It was a close, yeah.
Yeah. And Millionaire March was October 95. Okay. So October 95 is when I'm starting. My cousin gets killed probably like that November, and then the following September is Tupac, and the following March, it's like a small window of life-altering, events. And so I went to Jamaica, and well, to be honest with you, to keep it 100, I went to Jamaica because it was a strip club called Clancy's that was in my neighborhood, and they were sponsoring a trip to hedonism. And so I knew some of the strippers, Sam, from church. So I went with all these strippers down to Jamaica. So I'm trying to heal. And so I'm with the strippers and shit, I'm the guy that gets to, to grease them up and everything before they go on stage, but I didn't get lucky. I was a skinny dude that they felt safe around. You know what I'm saying? I was just a skinny kid that they felt safe around, which is kind of good now because I look so young then. So I'm 50 years old now, but I don't look that old. So I do appreciate the fact that I look young for my age. So fine. But that wasn't working out for me then. So I didn't get none. Okay. I did not get none. But I got to rub down all the strippers, Oh, good. So while I was there, we went to Negril. We was in we were staying in Montego Bay, Mo Bay. So I went to Negril, and in Negril they have this spot called Rick's Cafe, and people cliff dive. Oh wow! And so it's like tiers of the cliff. Like if you want to jump into the ocean from 20 feet. You want to jump in from 50 feet? You want to jump from 100 feet?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a very extreme guy. So I'm gonna go do the 100 feet. So I go do the 100 feet, but I'm scared. So I jump off feet first a couple of times, get my, and then I go do a real dive, right? And okay, cool. But I wanted to do this flip, but I was too scared to do it. So I thought about this dive for a whole year. This was from 96 going to 97. I thought about this dive a whole year. I came back to Rick's Cafe the next year just to do this jump. And I did it. I did a flip, but I didn't factor in the inertia of dropping 100 feet. So when I did one flip, it turned to 2 and 3 and I think maybe 4 flips. And it wasn't because I was showing off, it's because I couldn't fucking stop. You know what I'm saying? So I'm flipping and I know the water is coming. And I know if I don't hit this water completely straight, I could break my back, I could break my neck, I could die if I don't hit this water correctly, okay? And so I open my eyes so I can see, where my body is, where the water is, and I see the water like, it's like 20 feet, like from floor to ceiling. And so I punch it like Superman, and I hit the joint perfectly. People screaming. I'm on people's home videos and shit. This is before everybody had cell phones and I didn't shut my eyes. I hit the water with my eyes wide open.
Oh, wow.
And so I bruised my retinas. I come out the water and people screaming, pat me on my back, and I'm everything looking like this. I stumble to the bathroom, I put the towel to my eyes, I look at the towel, and I can see like specks of blood. Like, you know how you like drink gasoline and when you spit it out? That's what.
No, I don't know what that's like.
Let's say you've seen that before. Someone that I think how if you had drank gas, you would spit it out. That's how the blood specks were on the towel. Wow. And so fortunately for me, it was Sunday. My flight was in the morning. I put on my shades and chilled out, and I called, fortunately, I was still picking cotton at the post office plantation. So I had health insurance, right? So I called my primary care physician on Monday. He sees me on Tuesday. He says, you're fucked up and you need to see a specialist. I see the specialist on Wednesday. The specialist says, you're fucked up. You need to have emergency surgery. And I was having surgery on Thursday, okay? Now, I'm having surgery on Thursday. You know what they told me on Thursday when I came in for surgery? That if I had waited just 2 weeks, that there would have been nothing they can do for me but give me a cane with a red tip, okay? Because my retinas was slightly detached. So I'm losing vision that I could never gain. So I had perfect vision, before, 20/20 vision before the jump. Now I have to wear glasses when I'm driving. Like I don't have glasses on now, but legally I'm required to wear glasses when I'm driving. It's not a big deal until it's nighttime. At nighttime, if I ain't got my glasses on, I will fuck around and miss the exit. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So I'm saying all to say this is that I actually came back from Jamaica by facing my fears and looking at the world differently. I had a different set of eyes. And then of course it was the most excruciating pain going through those surgeries. I had to do surgery on both eyes and they will only do it one at a time. So Thursday I had surgery on this eye and Friday I had surgery on this eye. That's why the left eye, is actually less vision than the other one because it's 2 different days. So I had lost vision more out of this one that I can't get, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of weird. So you thought I was wearing those big ass glasses look cute. Like, nah, nigga. And so that's when I said, I'm gonna have a Black Love Festival.
Okay, you can't go to Black Love Festival came before We Act Radio?
Hell yeah. Black Love Festival is the reason everything else exists. If it hadn't been for the Black Love Festival, I wouldn't have met my business partner who underwrites We Act Radio. So Black Love Festival started in '97. We Act Radio started in 2011.
Are you serious?
That's because it wasn't that big. It didn't get big until maybe 08. 08 was pretty big. 08, 09, 2010 was pretty big. Because 08, I had, I had the Last Poets. I had Sam Greenlee, the Spook Who Sat by the Door. I had Elaine Brown, the sister that ran the Black Panther Party while Huey P. Newton was in exile. Curtis Blow, Africa Bambaataa, Soul Sonic Force, Mambo Sauce. It was crazy. I mean, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson was there getting an award. As a matter of fact, the Black Love Festival is the only award that, until 2008 at least, was the only award that Dr. Francis Cress Wilson had ever received, and she told me that. You know, and if you Google Dr. Frances Cress Welsing right now, her official publicity shot is her on stage on the Black Love Festival. So you ever see a picture of Dr. Frances Cress Welsing holding a black cordless microphone, which is her official publicity shot, that's us. I put that mic in her hand, you know, and she's one of my greatest teachers. And so that is what, all of that is what primed me up. But when I went to Kenya, it gave me the information I needed to validate my rage. It gave me the technique to, the poetry gave me the technique to articulate my rage, but that leadership conference gave me the information I needed to explain it and validate it. So now I have the talent to articulate it. Now I have the skill set to explain it and justify it and historical references to back it up. Now I'm ready to face the world, you know. And then you couple that with the fact that, you know, I'm blessed that I have a talent for writing. My strong suit is dialogue. I can make my character seem real. I always tell people that writing, you know, is like the lowest totem pole of the art spectrum. I think the lowest is writing, the highest is like music. I think the visual arts is somewhere in the top 50, but writers is strange people. You know, we have to sit in a room and alone by ourselves, listen to the voices in our head, try to record them accurately enough so that we can convince other people they can hear those voices too. That's some weird shit, you know. That's why I subscribe to the Ernest Hemingway writing method, and that's write drunk, edit sober, you know. So that's what I do. So because on the bottles of alcohol, it says distilled spirits. So I'm in here trying to catch the spirit, and you know, and once I do, I lock in, I get it out, and then the next day, you know, I clean it up. You're such a beautiful human being.
Thank you, Kymone. Kymone, so like, okay, so I because that longevity of that plan is not like, yes, you're 50, but you can't keep, are you serious that you drink
Right,
all?
edit sober.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So check this out. This came back from Cuba. I went to Cuba with Shalal and them in February, and I see on the itinerary that we're going to Ernest Hemingway's house because Ernest Hemingway loved Cuba like I love Cuba. So he, you know, he had a house there, and so we're going to his house. So I said, okay, I gotta bring a book from Ernest Hemingway, and you know, I've been giving away books and stuff. So I had come across Ernest Hemingway's book, Old Man and the Sea. In fact, I have it right here. So I came across Old Man in the Sea, right? I don't know if you can see it because of the light. Okay. I came across the book. I said, okay, I'm gonna hold on to this, right? And I was so shocked because it's, I don't know if you can tell, you see how thin it is? It's 120 pages, okay? And so when I was writing my book, I was so concerned that it wasn't long enough. It wasn't long enough because I want to be considered as a real novelist. So in order for me to be considered a real novel, it had to be 40,000 words, right? And that was like 30 some thousand. I'm like, I can't finish it. Like,
how many pages? 30,000 or 40,000? How many pages?
Well, it depends upon obviously the size of the book and the font size and all that. So it's kind of like relative.
What's the average?
My finished book is 200 pages, and it's 40,000. It's just over 40,000 words. Okay, so I'm like, I'm good, right? So I take the book to Cuba with me, and my plan was to read the book because it's short, so I can read it while I'm in Cuba. But it was so much going on. They had full itineraries. I got to read maybe 20 or 30 pages while I was there, you know, being on a bus going from point A to point B, but I didn't finish the book. So we get to Ernest Hemingway's house, and they was renovating the house or whatever, so they wouldn't allow us to tour inside the house. We could only look through the windows and the doors and stuff. So we go around to the window of the room that Ernest Hemingway were right in, okay? And it was a little bedroom, but he didn't sleep there, he just wrote there. And he had a desk vertical because he stood up when he wrote, you know what I'm saying? So he was ahead of the game.
Really?
Yeah, when people have those progressive desks now, you know what I'm saying? Because it's not healthy to sit down for hours.
Yeah,
So
it's not. Yeah.
he wrote, and just real quick, if you could just get up and move for 5 minutes for every 60 minutes you sit down, you will cut your rate of cancer in half. So one of the good things about drinking and writing, because if I'm sitting down and I'm writing and I'm drinking, guess what? I got to use the bathroom for a few minutes. So I get up, stretch my legs, go to the bathroom, come back, pour another drink, sit back down, and get back to it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm at his window, and what do I see for the first time in my life? I see a hummingbird. I have never seen a hummingbird in real life, like right there, like boom, it's a hummingbird. And I'm like, wow, okay. In my book, in a key scene where I introduce the antagonist, who is, and one of the talents I have is again humanizing characters. So he's a bad guy. Guess what? He loves flowers, and he's knowledgeable about flowers. He's a horticulturist, a florist, or I guess a florist. And what's in his greenhouse? Hummingbird. So I'm like, oh shit, it's a little connection. Okay, I got a little connection with Ernest Hemingway, not just the writing method, but it's a symbol. Okay, the hummingbird. I'm like, okay, cool. Then this is the book he won all these awards for. He won a Nobel Prize in Literature. He won a National Book Award for this little ass book. And I finished the book, and I'm like, it was good. Like, it wasn't great. Like, this is it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like,
when was it written?
When was it written? It was in the 50s.
Well,
The Old Man in the Sea is about this dude, this fisherman from Cuba, because he loved Cuba. This fisherman from Cuba, and he hadn't caught a fish in a while, so he's destitute because that's how he make a living. And so he goes out a little further than he usually would go because he's desperate. He's going to catch the big fish, and everything's going to be taken care of once he catches this big fish. So he goes out, and he does. He catches the biggest fish he ever caught in his life. It was an 18-foot swordfish. Right, and it took him 3 days to reel this joker in, right? Because you fighting with the fish. You know what I'm saying? You got to tire him out and whatever. And so he finally catches the fish. He ties the fish to his boat, and I'm sitting reading this, and I'm like, where are the sharks? I'm like, where are the sharks? The book is 120 pages. They don't say shit about sharks until like 100, page 100. And what happens? The sharks come in and they eat the fucking swordfish. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he killed a couple sharks trying to fight him off, but what you gonna do? So he gets back and the whole fucking fish is gone. The sharks ate all of it. So his biggest accomplishment in life, and he's still fucked up because, and I'm like, dude, you didn't have a plan on how to get the shit back. You're saying, like, you did not know that that sharks were gonna smell blood in the water. You're saying, I like it. So it wasn't to me like this brilliant piece of work. It was nice, but it was like elementary. It was the kind of like, high school. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't.
It's also a reflection of that time, that period.
Yeah. But I'm no disrespect to Ernest Hemingway. I love the guy, right?
Yeah.
It just boosted me up because I think my book is better. I think my story.
Come on, so before we talk about your book, tell me how you got to React Radio.
Your girl, Kathy Hughes, was good.
It'd be nice to know Kathy Hughes.
So what?
I said, I don't know Kathy Hughes.
You don't know Kathy Hughes?
No.
This is why I adore you. Be in your own little world. You have your own little world. The world is your studio. The world is your studio. And if it don't happen inside your studio, But Kathy Hughes is the founder of Radio One.
I know who she is, but I don't know her personally. That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, but well, most people, honor her as this great figure. And yeah, she was back in the day. Kathy Hughes was gangster back in the day. You know, when she had WOL and that's all she had, she was gangster. She was revolutionary. You know, she would have all kinds of content that would get you canceled right now on her talk radio station. You know, they was talking about how, you know, the weapon is how homosexuality was being weaponized against Black people, like the demasculization of Black people. You know, I'm going what she says on Came Out WL. You know, would you admit that there has been growth hormones introduced into the American food supply in the past 20 years? Would you concur that growth hormones have been introduced to the animals that comprise the food chain in America? You know, the cows get fatter faster. Do you concur or you disagree?
Why?
Okay, so you see, you want to be neutral in a moving train. Okay, so
I do. So I need to see where your train's destination is first.
Okay, well, that doesn't change. That shouldn't affect your opinion. Your opinion is: do you concur that growth hormones has been introduced?
Come on, don't get stuck here. Go on.
Okay. So I mean, I was saying that was the point. So because we going down the line. So the animals that we eat are female animals, not male animals. We eat chickens, not roosters. You know, we eat cows, not bulls. We eat pigs, not hogs. So if growth hormones have been introduced into the food supply, then those are female growth hormones because it's female animals, it's female flesh that we eating. Okay, so if it's female growth hormones been introduced, then that's containing estrogen. When you give a woman too much estrogen in her body, she can grow hair on her breasts. She actually becomes more masculine, not less masculine. You give a male female hormones, estrogen, he grows breasts. So we've seen an explosion in homosexual behavior in people in the past 20 years. And I'm not talking about just because it's more acceptable and blah, 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 blah. You just seen like an explosion. Like you never saw, when I was a kid, there was no groups of gay kids, right? It was always a gay kid somewhere. It's always a gay kid. So I'm not saying homosexuality, period. I'm just talking about the growth of homosexuality has exploded in the past 20 years, and it has something to do with what we consume. We are what we eat. And this came out on WL. Now, all this is unpopular today, but this was what was being discussed on WL when Kathy Hughes ran it, and that's all she had. I was giving you just how far out there she was, okay?
Okay, well, come back to her connection to...
Back to the day, 20 years later, she's up here on the radio because now she has multi stations across the country, the largest conglomerate of Black-owned stations in the country, with a white program manager, by the way. It was a white, middle-aged white woman from Tennessee up until 10 years ago when We Act Radio started, was in control of what plays on these stations across America, by the way. And she was on top of the hour, bottom of the hour, railing against my man, Congressman John Conyers. He had a bill called the Performance Arts Tax. The Performance Art Tax was basically saying that artists typically wouldn't get paid when their records are played if they didn't have the publishing. And typically a lot of Black artists had got robbed out of their publishing. So even though we know their songs and the iconic figures, they would have to perform to get paid just to eat. And so that's why they would roll B.B. King out on stage in a wheelchair and let him play the guitar while he's in a wheelchair, because if he doesn't own his publishing, he's destitute, right? So she was on the radio campaigning against that. She was saying that this is an attack on Black radio, that this is going to put Black radio out of business, because God forbid we got to actually pay the artists who records we are playing that is attracting the listeners, that is attracting the advertisers that's paying for this whole thing. If we had to actually pay those artists, we will lose money. And I'm like, come on, Slim, you're doing too much. You mean to tell me that you was making, you made $100 million this year, and if you pay all the artists, you're only going to make $90 million next year? That's going to put you out of business? Like, that's been very disingenuous. And, she didn't do this, against the Iraq war or stolen elections or nothing like that, Hurricane Katrina, nothing like that. But when it affects her bottom line, she got on that. And so I was offended. So we put together a panel. Her campaign was Save Black Radio. And our thing was like, if you want to save Black radio, we need to change Black radio, because Black radio sucks right now. Because I had friends who, Raheem Devon couldn't get his record played on the radio up until he got a record deal. Now you're gonna tell me that all of a sudden that the quality of his music changed because he signed this piece of paper? He's the same artist. You mean you're telling me that the work he was doing today wasn't worthy to be on the radio, but once he signed this paper and so and so and so and so and so and so is getting a cut, now is worthy? Nah, come on, Stump. So I got artists who have Peabody Awards, the only hip hop artist to have a Peabody Award. He did the theme song for Boondocks. He couldn't get his records played in his hometown, but his records been played in South Africa, so all this didn't make no sense. So we put together this panel called Change Black Radio, and we had the Sound Exchange up there, who was part of the sponsors for John Conyers' bill. I had a couple of radio personalities, but a lot of people were scared to speak against Kathy Hughes. It was like her name was Kaiser Sose or something. You couldn't say nothing about her. You know what I'm saying? It was like, saying Hail Mary and Mary or some shit. So out of that conversation, somebody during the Q&A said to us that y'all are criticizing this Black woman who built a radio station. Here we go. This Black woman, as if somehow that's progressive. You know what I'm saying? Just because there's a Black and a woman, that means it's good. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, really? Condoleezza Rice is Black woman. Candace Owens is a Black woman. You know what I'm saying? Let's be real. You know what I'm saying? Now, which Black woman we talking about? Now if we talking about Angela Davis, I'm with you. We talking about Amber Robles-Gordon, I'm with you. But we're not. And so they said, why don't you start your own radio station? It was kind of like a diss. So they came up with this, like, you up here criticizing this Black woman, you don't know what she had to been through and what it takes to operate a radio station. What if you think it's so easy? Why don't you, And I said, start a radio station. So there was when the seed was planted. And then, and the same night, after this thing was over, someone comes up to me and says that they knew about this AM radio station that was available. And if we could come up with $30,000, we can get this station and da-da-da. I'm like, cool. When you get $30,000, let me know. And and so I gave him my information, woo-woo. We kept in touch, couple emails, couple months later, he hits me up and he says, yo, we good. I'm like, we good?
And who is he?
This dude, this Bama ass nigga named William Tucker Jr. William Tucker Jr. But I shouldn't call him a Bama ass thing. He is. I'm about
to say, wait a minute. The Bama is a diss. So
yeah, Bama. He is a Bama ass nigga. But I actually am appreciative of this Bama's presence in my life, because if it hadn't been for him, We Act Radio wouldn't exist. So he says that, we good. So what we need to do is now is find some programmers. The format is called brokered programming, which means you pay for your radio time. So you want to do a radio show, you pay X amount of dollars a month and you host your show. This is like the precursor to podcasting in terms of that business model. All right. So we're like, okay, cool. And I had an office, I had this beautiful office that I had gotten from DC Commission Art Humanities. So I got this beautiful office behind the Washington Convention Center. And so I had the presence to host these meetings and bring these folks in. So people was taking us very serious. And one thing led to another. We got to the point where I picked out the studio. And the studio I wanted was the studio I'm in. All right. And because I wanted to be on Martin Luther King Avenue, you know what I'm saying? Now I'm keeping 100. It wasn't because I was in love with Anacostia or I saw gentrification coming and I knew that this would be the perfect place to put a foothold in the fight against displacement and all that. I wasn't that smart. I just wanted to be associated with Martin Luther King. I wanted that to say every time you heard blah, 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 Martin Luther King Avenue, boom, because I'm espousing all things Martin Luther King, because that's the one guy everybody can respect, and he's gangster, but we don't talk about his gangster. So I knew that I could catch some wins espousing Martin Luther King. All right.
Okay.
So we get to the point, the space is being renovated. I'm thinking we moving, boom, boom, boom. We collecting money coming in, and I had no problem because this was the money guy. So I gave all the money to him. So whenever we collect money from all these programmers, I gave the money to him because in my mind, he's the funder, like he's making it happen. So, you know, and then he gives me this, I get this email from the building owner who's like, we're unless we pay X amount of dollars, they are going to release this, I think it was a letter of intent. It was a letter of intent to rent the space. So what happened was that the work I saw them renovating, they was just prepping the space for whoever the next tenant was going to be. It wasn't being done to our specifications. They was just renovating it to make it prep for the next tenant. And then once they got to the point where they would have accommodated our specifications, that's when they called it in and said, you know, we need this money, otherwise the work gonna stop. And that's when I found out the dude ain't had no money. I was like, yo, what's up? He said, oh man, we're gonna have to go to Springfield because, you know, they charging too much over here. I was like, Springfield? Like, who the fuck going to Springfield? Like, you know, like, dude, we supposed to do a DC station. How the fuck are we gonna have a DC station in Springfield, Virginia? And I'm not going to Springfield, Virginia every day. Like, you must be out your mind.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know? And he said, but you know, we got warehouse space out there and da, da, da. I'm like, oh fuck. So I'm thinking everything is about to fall apart. And then my man, Alex Lawson, the executive director of Social Security Works, who I met during the Black Love Festival, because he headed up my AIDS mobilizations. So we tested more people for AIDS than any other calendar day in a year, including the Department of Health. And he ran it, and he never told me he had money. Now, so what if I had disrespected this white boy? What if I told this, listen to the black people at the time, it was like, why you got this white boy running the AIDS mobilization? I'm like, are you gonna do it? Nah, then shut the fuck up. He's here to do the work, you know what I'm saying? Let him do the work, you know what I'm saying? Or if I talk to him like, I'm in charge, this is my event, you just a little volunteer, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't talk like that. So we was cool. All right. He calls me up out of the blue. Say, come on, how's the radio station going? I'm like, oh man, it sucks. You know, if I don't get $30,000 by Thursday, it's all going to, you know, go to shit and da 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 da. He said, how much money you need? I said, $30,000. He said, when do you need it? I said, Thursday. He said, all right, I'm gonna call you back. Click. I was like, that was weird. All right. Now looking back, what happened is that, hold on for a second, I'm actually pushing buttons at We Act Radio right now for the next program. It's apropos because it is, see, it's at the bottom of the hour. He had called his wife and said, look, babe, I'm about to spend this money. Are you okay with that? And she was like, something like, you know, as long as it's not coming out of my account, it's all good, you know, do you, you know what I'm saying? So he calls me back like 10 minutes later. He said, all right, come on, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna give you the money. Come to my office tomorrow and pick up this check. And you and I are gonna be in business and you're gonna run the radio station. I'm like, dope, word. All right, cool. All right, so you all set to go, right? So I called the dude back because the deal is that we will control the studio, right? He will control the radio signal, okay? And we'll be a partnership. So we control the space, he controls the broadcast, and that's how he's gonna get down. Sounds fair, right? So I called the dude, I said, yo, I got the money, we good, let's go. He said, hold up, you got the money? I'm like, yeah, I got the money. He said, well, maybe we shouldn't move so fast. If if we got this money, it would go a lot further in Springfield, Virginia than it will in DC. I'm like, hold up, Slim, you understand what I'm saying? I got $30,000 so that we can stay in DC. I'm not giving you $30,000 to go to Virginia. He said, just give me the check, I got it. I'm like, I'm not giving the money. See, now like I wasn't,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give you $30,000 check for you to tell me what to do. That's not happening. I raised this money now. So now I'm the custodian of this amount of money, right? And so long story short, he calls my business partner, Alex Watson, because he had met him at some of the from our promotional events. So he calls the white boy and he tells the white boy that, look, you got the money, I got the signal, we don't need Kymone. So he made a mistake because he didn't realize that my business partner didn't want to run a radio station.
Yeah, himself. He had his own life. Yeah.
He wanted a business partner that he can trust to run the station.
Right.
And he just proved to him that he can't be trustworthy. Because like, you're gonna throw your man under the bus and you don't even know me and da-da-da-da-da. So Alex calls me back and it's like, yo, what's up with your man? He did this, this, and this. I said, you know what, Alex? He probably doesn't even have the lease management agreement for the signal. He probably just has a promissory note and needs the money to pay for it and was going to use this amount, this check to do that. And he was like, all right, let's find out. Call him up and see what the deal is. I call him up and lo and behold, I was correct. Lo and behold, I was correct. That he did not have the money. It was not paid for. The dude was waiting to hear from him. And as soon as we had gave him that check, he would have did that. He would have did that. So that's how we got the signal, and we took the signal over, we got the space, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes around telling everybody that we stole this from him and da, 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 da. I'm like, stole? That all you gotta do is say, did you ever give me anything other than the idea? He gave me an idea. How much money I give? I gave him at least $7,500. I gave him $7,500. I never got back. And we was like, cool, you can keep your little $7,500. You know what I'm saying? Because he collected money from all these programmers. All right. So
yeah, I was wondering about where that money went to.
Yeah, so we let him keep that money, and we took all the programmers, and we let them, that show for free during that time that they had already paid for. So to honor it. So they didn't feel like they was getting robbed. We just took that L, and at the $30,000 paid for the equipment, and WEAC Radio took off. That was November 11th, 2011 at 11 a.m. on the 101. And we've been popping ever since. And now the building's paid for. We have a performance space behind the studio that holds about 250 people, maybe 300.
Really?
Yeah, we Gucci, and it's about to get renovated. It's about to get renovated. My basement get renovated. Yeah, we standing like this on in terms of gentrification and displacement in Anacostia. Like, you have to come talk to us. You have to come talk to me or Mo if you want to do anything to be respected by the people in Anacostia. Otherwise, everybody looking at you, sideways, kind of like the cover of my book. But that's what started with WEAC Radio, and we won some awards, Media Journalist Awards. We've produced radio documentaries in conjunction with WAMU and NPR. Yeah, I mean, we had the Marion Barry Summer Youth Employment Program for 8 summers. Your girl, Muriel Bowser, hired some of our interns, so we get, we've done some things. Everything I do is successful on some level. It's just that I haven't made the money that I deserve, because I'm banging on a system that I have a problem with. And because I don't play ball, I don't get the funding that otherwise would be entitled to. But all that's about to change.
Tell me about the book, Kymone.
Well, I fell in love with this beautiful artist, and I knew the only way I could ever have a chance with her, I'd have to be a successful novelist and sell these books and become world famous. So that's what I'm doing. The book
But you
is,
just laughed at yourself.
yeah, because even when I blow up and, I can never go Kanye because it's going to be like, all I got to do is look at your ass and I'm like, nigga, you ain't that big. Yeah, you all right, come on, but you ain't that serious. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna work out like Michael B. Jordan and shit and be a famous writer, and she's still gonna look at me like whatever. But I need that. I need that. So now I can never go Kanye. I can never go Kanye.
No, never go Kanye.
Never go
That
Kanye.
ain't it.
Nah, absolutely not. But the book is Nineveh, a conflict over water set in the future where water's been priced beyond affordability of the masses, forcing them to collect rainwater.
Okay. Whoa. Slow down. Say that again. That was fast.
It's a conflict over water set in the future where water has been priced beyond the affordability of the masses, forcing them to collect rainwater, which is the new contraband and highly illegal. So you have a situation where the polar ice caps have melted. Some cities have become submerged. Some new cities have emerged, and Nineveh is one of the new cities that emerged, and it's one like this mega city states. And it's like the oasis of the world. It has a dedicated water supply, and whoever controls the water controls the world. And that's today. We have situations where, about Flint, Michigan, the tainted water. Well, even in Detroit, they had a water crisis, and they couldn't afford their water bills. They had exorbitant water bills. And if your water gets turned off, you know what happens? Child Protection Services comes and takes your kids if your water gets turned off. So you got water refugees right here in the States. And what they don't mention to you is that Flint, Michigan and Detroit, Michigan are just a short drive to the largest fresh body of water on the planet, the Great Lakes. You know what I'm saying? So how are you going to have a water crisis that close to the largest body of water, right? Nestle, you know them for chocolate, but their biggest moneymaker is actually water. They pay the state of Michigan a measly $200 a year to pump 1 million gallons of water a day. So this is happening now. You know what I'm saying? So let something pop off where the Wall Street Journal, the Rolling Stone, the Forbes magazine have all said water is a new oil, it's a new conflict resource. Your girl, Kamala Harris, I hope I'm saying her name right, Vice President, she's on record saying that the next wars will be fought over food and water, So I just tell a beautiful story, an engaging story, a captivating story, a cautionary tale on what this could look like in an extreme version, in a fascist state where global water has taken over the planet. And so it's 3 characters that comprise of the Global Water Corporation. It's 3 characters that comprise the resistance. We're talking about in terms of leadership. And so it's kind of like the ultimate family dispute. And I think that this is my strongest work to date. I think that it is an idea whose time has come. And I've started this journey back in 2007. This was the first screenplay I was writing. So it started as a screenplay. And a lot of people don't know is that Jay-Z had a similar experience in Africa over water that I had. And it's just that because he had more resources, he was able to do more. So he put his money behind investing into these merry-go-rounds. So children would play on the merry-go-round, and in doing so, that would create the energy, self-powered energy to create a well pump. So that would make fresh water available to people who otherwise wouldn't have it. Probably save countless lives. A lot of people don't know about that. And then he actually addressed the United Nations. Jay-Z spoke at the UN. When Kofi Annan was Secretary General of the United Nations, Jay-Z spoke, right? You don't talk about that. So when I heard about that, I was like, yo, I gotta get Jay-Z the script. Maybe, he can do he might be the dude to make the film happen. And so my brother is a music engineer. And so he actually
Your
knew
actual brother or
my actual brother. We have the same father.
Mm.
My actual brother. Actually, I'm gonna be in his studio recording the audio book for this. So anyway, he hooks me up with Beehive. Beehive is Jay-Z's cousin that runs Rock Nation. So I'm sending him the script, and I'm like, so what you think? He said, man, come to New York. Let's talk about it. I was like, man, why don't you just email me? So can I come to New York? So I'm like, all right, I go to New York.
Yeah, I was gonna say you better go to New York.
New York. And so he gives me this meeting. You know what I'm saying? I'm in the meeting. I'm in New York. Like, okay, I'm sitting next to the man, sitting next to the goddamn man. I'm like, okay. You know what I'm saying? And he tells me that, this sounds like a documentary, Kymone. I don't know how we can make money with this. And then my dumb ass got bogged down in a debate over money. What I should have said was that I thought Jay-Z wanted to make history, not just make money. You know what I'm saying? That was the line I was supposed to say. But my dumb ass is up here trying to convince him how he's gonna make money fucking with me. The dude has just got off the Chinatown bus to New York. Tell the dude at Rock Nation how he gonna make money. I was like, okay. So I was saying it didn't work. But two things happened. I'm glad and grateful that he gave me the meeting, because it again was another level of validation. By me being in the room, it's like, look, I like it. I see the value in your work. I just don't see how we can make money with that. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't a diss. He took the meeting. He gave me, gave me some valuable tools. But had he said yes, then because I would have been so green and desperate, I would have signed any deal they gave me, and I wouldn't have the literary piece of art I have now. Because you know the saying that you can't fit the whole book into the movie. But the book is much more in depth than a movie can be. Right? The screenplay is like, this is what happened, this is where they were, and this is what they said, pretty much. But the book is like you have to create the visual world.
Yeah.
Because in the film you're showing it, but in the book you got to explain it. So it's much more material. So my book is twice as much material as before, which means what? It's twice as good. I sat down during the pandemic for 2 years and worked on this, creating this literary piece of art that's better than Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway's award-winning piece. So I'm grateful to Beehive, and I hope to catch up with him again. In fact, I'm going to send him a copy of the book. Not like, how you like me now, but, like thanking him, like, thank you. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have this piece of work that I can be proud of. Because when I gave it to Beehive in 2007, I was like, what do you think? Now, 2023, excuse me, I'm like, you ain't ready yet, have you? Because I already know it's good. You know what I'm saying? It's already know it. It's like, you got some secret recipe that you cook and it's bad, and you looking at the person waiting for the reaction because you already know. You already know. I already know. And unfortunately, it took me so many years. Of course, it means that my craft has gotten better over the years. So you got to understand that too. I acknowledge that obviously I'm a better writer today than I was 15 years ago, clearly. But I'm saying is that it's also has to be acknowledged that if I had the level of confidence then that I have now, then I would be further along. You see what I'm saying? If I hadn't needed that validation at 35, I didn't get what I needed until 35. I didn't start thinking about what I needed until I was 25. If I was raised with that, if I came out from knee-high to manhood with that, I would be further along. That's why I admire a lot of these young entrepreneurs out here today that's getting it, the 20s and 30s, and they're successful and blah, blah, blah. I don't hate on that. I admire it, but it's just that it seems like we have a lot of rich fools and a lot of broke, brilliant people, and so I have a problem with that. Yeah, because I get it. if you gave me, you know, $50 million when I was 25, I was going to do a lot of dumb shit, you know. But you give me $25 million at 50, I'm gonna make something happen, you know, and that's the difference. And so it's an honor to be speaking with you today, and for you to see the value to speak to me. Today is the eve of my book launch. My book drops
That's right.
tomorrow.
So hold up. So pronounce the name of the book.
Nineveh. Nineveh. Let me go grab a copy real quick.
I was just gonna say, show the copy and tell us where people can get it.
My house is full of books right now. And I have a paperback and I have the hardcover. So the paperback, if you get the paperback by World Water Day, that's which is March 22nd, by tomorrow, you can get this for $19. And if you do the same for the hardcover, you can get this for $24, and then it goes up $5 after that. And let me just read this to you, because I'm so honored that this person's name is associated with my work. Shaka King is the director of Judas and the Black Messiah, which was a 5-time Oscar-nominated film. Some people, unfortunately, a lot of people didn't get to see it. I don't know why. It came out during the pandemic. I'm like, what was you doing? You know, you can watch it online. But Daniel Kaluuya got his first Oscar portraying Fred Hampton Jr. Excuse me, Fred Hampton. And Fred Hampton Jr. was one of the producers on the film, so it was very authentic. This is what he had to say about the work. He said, "There is great utility in escapist art, but this novel threads the needle pretty damn well by refusing to not acknowledge trauma just to make a piece of entertainment." Again, that's director Shaka King on this. And what I'm most grateful for is that when my first play was done, Sam Greenlee, the spook who sat by the door, wrote a blurb for the DVD of the play. That was my first play. My first book, I have Shaka King of an Oscar-winning film writing a blurb for my book. So I'm like, I know I'm doing the right thing. You know, I'm in the right space. And I feel like I'm on the verge of something big. And so I'm very excited about that. And for those who didn't catch it, this is what the book is about. Nineveh, a conflict over water, is a futuristic vision in a post-oil depleted dystopian society. The polar ice caps have melted, old cities have been submerged, new cities have emerged, wet areas got wetter, and dry areas got drier. The rich got richer, and the poor got poorer, and they all met in Nineveh, where water has been priced beyond the affordability of the masses, forcing them to collect rainwater by the few resistors that dared to defy the system. The resistance is led by Nibeli, a gifted teacher and sage. His daughter Evlon is his greatest warrior, and Bethlehem is his most trusted ally. Nineveh is ruled ruthlessly by Nimrod, the head of the global water corporation that has a stranglehold on the world's water market, and forced by Canaan, who leads his notorious security forces. He has only one weakness: his nymphomaniac son, Sincere.
So where can people find information about the book?
You can get the book at everywhere online where you find books. I would urge them to look beyond Amazon and Walmart, please. I mean, do what you do, but it's everywhere. You know, Barnes and Nobles, all the online platforms has it. But I also would encourage them to go to independent bookstores if they can. Right now, the only independent bookstores that currently has it, hopefully this will change starting tomorrow once we can start distributing a physical book that just came out. It's at Sankofa Video Bookstore. It's at all the Busboys and Poets locations, and Mahogany Books. Then it's going to be in Baltimore, and then we try to get into all the other bookstores around the country. And the Spanish translation is about to become made available, and then there would be on World's Market. But every online platform where you find books, it is now available today. And starting tomorrow, it'll be in the bookstores. I just aforementioned bookstores, and that list will continue to grow. So you can get more information at Nineveh novel.com. That's NinevehNovel.com. NINEVEH novel.com. NINEVEH novel.com. A conflict over water. And just so y'all know, this is not all make-believe at all. I mean, just because I'm telling a story of fiction doesn't mean it is fictitious. You know, the great Octavia Butler says, is it fictitious for Black people to imagine themselves in the future? You know, so I always had a problem with the genre of sci-fi because of that. But the great Walter Mosley, one of the most prolific writers alive today, has written as many books as Stephen King. He told me, actually, he's talking to me when he says this, that sci-fi writers are some of the smartest writers because they work with tools beyond what has been given to them. And without science fiction writers, we don't have a future, which means we're not able to imagine ourselves. Like, just think about like the Matrix, the original Matrix, not the BS they made the last time, but the first Matrix. You know, how we talk about the red pill and the blue pill. You know, that's a fictitious story, but we see how it's relevant to real life. Like, are we paying attention to what's going on? Is the real world and is that world? You know what I'm saying? Like, and so we use it as a point of reference. It's fictitious, but we use it as a point of reference because they help explain what's going on in reality. And so I think this book explains what's going on in reality. The director of a great documentary I just seen at DC Environmental Film Festival is called The Grab. I urge everybody to go check that out, The Grab. I learned so much in that film. And the director of the film says that when you tell an important story, the whole world gets smarter. So I think I told an important story, and I hope that everyone who reads it is smarter because of it and inspires them to make more intelligent decisions in their life about what's going on. I think that what we really need to realize is that a lot has been done to our detriment simply because we was ignorant of it. You know, I'm a little older than you, Miss Gordon, so you might not remember it because you're so young. If someone had asked us to pay for a bottle of water when we was children, we would look at them like they was crazy, you know. But I went to a Wizards game a couple of weeks ago. I paid $6.15 for a bottle of a 16-ounce bottle of water. Now I drive an electric car, so I think the going rate for gas is what, $3, $4?
Between 3 and 4, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so it's under $4. So you're paying under $4 for a gallon of gas, and I paid over $6 for only 16 ounces of water. This is what they're charging today. And we're not even in a crisis. You got a glimpse of it during the pandemic when they start, you know, price gouging, you know.
Well, that is price gouging. It's the same thing happens at it's not as bad at the airport, but still, what you're talking about right now, that's absolutely price gouging.
Yeah, so these are things that we need.
Kymone, thank you.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me. This is the first interview I have done since the book has been published. The first one was Sunday with Ari, but this is the first interview, because that was an event. This is an interview. This is the first interview, and I wanted to give it to you, and I hope that it makes sense to you. I know you're going to chop this up and edit it, but try to get to work on it, because it's going to have a lot more value if we can get it out in the next 24 hours as opposed to the following 24 hours.
Got it. I'm not going to chop it up.
You're not going to chop it up? Okay, good. Well, then I love you and adore you, and I think you're the most beautiful artist in Washington, D.C.
Even when you were staring down, doing your text messaging and talking, I'm not going to chop that out either.
Sorry about it, guys. I was, it was We Act Radio duties called in. All right, so I appreciate you, and I hope to be able to afford some of your work myself, so that the next time I'm in a screenshot like this, you'll see some of your work hanging up in my house. But I'm gonna have to sell a lot of books to do that. So wish me well.
I absolutely wish you well. And I wanted this interview before you booked, just FYI.
I understand.
And I'm waiting for my invite. Hello.
What invite? What invite are you talking about?
Oh, that's right. So I think this is the first time you actually explained the format of React Radio.
Oh, you talking about for an interview? Come on, Slam. That's got open invitation. You need to stop playing. You gotta stop playing.
Okay, I'm still waiting on my invite. Shoot, I'm gonna stop the recording.